everyone, Bradley tuning in, coming at you with another video, and today we're talking about Bitcoin and real estate. There has been the first transaction done in Ontario that included Bitcoin on the listing. I actually pulled the listing up. I want to give you all the details on how that kind of worked, at least from what we can see from the outside perspective, and really kind of identify where Bitcoin is going in the real estate world and what can we kind of expect here in the GTA. I like to do these videos every single week. My name is Bradley Watson. I'm a realtor and investor in the Greater Toronto area. I like to give you guys as much insight as possible, keep you up to date on tips and tricks in the market. And just like this one, very exciting time. Let me know what you guys think about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Do you think it's going to really take off? This really is an early adopter movement. The article stems from one in the Toronto Star that said this: early adopter, quote unquote, sells his Mississauga condo in Bitcoin. So I did a bit of research, kind of looking into this. This just happened last month, and we're seeing the close happening this end of this month. So a lot of movement happening, a lot of questions in people's minds on what is Bitcoin going to do in the real estate world. And really, this listing was posted for 35 Bitcoin on MLS. Now, it was using a dollar sign, but the notes explained it was a Bitcoin sale. It was the first ever listing in Ontario with Bitcoin, and now will be the first sale in Bitcoin. Now, the market price was $445,000. This is the intention of the seller. But it really is kind of exciting. It's a new adventure. But with the fluctuations of Bitcoin, of course, every single day, the listing agent needed to adjust the listing price. So this was a constant evolve as it kind of progressed in the listing. It was constantly being changed because they're trying to keep up with the market on the Bitcoin side, which for any of you who follow Bitcoin know it's absolutely crazy. And so it ended up at the time of the sale of the property was 33 Bitcoin, which is quite a big jump from 35, but it ended up equating the sale price. So I dug deeper. I went into the listing. I don't want to just see a news article. I want to see the details. So it actually ended up selling. It sold for 442 Canadian dollars. And I think that communicates to us, I don't know if this communicates the value in Bitcoin, but I tend to think they actually sold it in Canadian dollars. It's hard to tell without kind of calling, but that's privacy. As far as the MLS goes, it sold for 442 Canadian, but it was still listed for 33 Bitcoin at the time of sale, and it closes April 30th. Here are a couple of things that my thoughts on how Bitcoin would kind of work in this transaction. First off is deposits. How in the world can you manage a deposit? Because the trust accounts managed by the brokerages are dealt in Canadian dollars, so Bitcoin has no place there. So that already poses a problem right there. But check out this wording that was on the listing. I found this very interesting in the broker remarks of that posting. It says the equivalent of $445,000 or offer price in Canadian due on closing date in Bitcoin. So seller reserves the right to accept Canadian dollar for payment. So the way that works to me, I don't know what ended up happening in the final contract, but this is really protecting the seller completely, because the seller's saying, if let's say the Bitcoin tanks, I have the right to accept it in Canadian dollars. So they are protecting against that volatility, but leaves the buyer very, very vulnerable when they go to purchase that property. So these are some of the details of that listing. I would not encourage you guys to get involved as much as possible in Bitcoin transactions yet, just because of these fluctuations, because of the instability with the Real Estate Council of Ontario, not knowing how this would work. You could find yourself in just crazy legal fights, but fascinating nonetheless that this is happening. And it actually, there have been more listings. Some of them have struggled to sell, but we've seen it happen now. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But let me know your thoughts on Bitcoin. Do you think this can really take off in the GTA, in our market? We're seeing it happening all around the world, but now we're seeing it here in our homeland. So let me know your thoughts. I'll see you next week, of course, more tips and tricks. Hit that like, that subscribe button down below if you're interested, and we'll see you next week, guys. Take care and keep it real.